Greetings, fellow humans. I hope you're having a spiffy-rific day. My name is Barron, this guy's Sunny, and today we're going to talk about what makes a camera pro. Dude. Before we can talk about what makes a camera pro, we got to figure out what pro is as far as a photographer and a videographer. So the definition of pro is a little bit of a debate between a lot of people. So the dictionary thing that I found on my phone, because phones are amazing and they connect to the internet, and the internet has all the information in the entire world. So I used that internet to type in, and find out what the definition of professional is. And it says if professional is a noun, that it's a person engaged or qualified in a profession. And that didn't help us at all.
No, that doesn't help at all.
So what is a professional photographer or filmmaker? Like, what makes them professional?
I would say if a person knows the theory and their equipment well enough to be able to take a picture that someone else would want to look at.
What about, because a lot of people are going to say, like, they have to be good at it.
Well, I think good is relative. You can have some people take pretty bad pictures and they can sell it for a lot of money. That makes them good salespeople.
Okay, so it's not whether or not they're making money on it either. A lot of people are going to say if you make money taking pictures or making videos, if you're making money, then that makes you professional. Like, that's what I would. That's how I've operated for a long time. It's like, that's how I think.
That makes sense because you're paying the professional to do it, but does not mean that the professional is actually any good at it.
How are we going to define this for the purposes of this video? Because everyone's going to disagree, and that's okay. Everybody can have a different opinion because his is wrong and mine is right, but that's okay. He can be wrong. He's not going to care. You can be wrong, and you are going to care, but that's okay because I'm not going to attack you or anything.
Are you saying you're going to attack me?
I am. I'm going to. There's going to be danger
Okay.
involved. I'm going to crack why aren't my knuckles cracking?
How would you define professional, and how do people disagree with that?
Like I was saying earlier, I think that a professional has to be actually making income from that craft. I don't think that they necessarily have to be good at it in order to be a professional. I think professional also is part of a way that they act. They need to act professional, and they need to, and by that they're getting the job done, and they're getting paid for it. I personally, and some people will disagree with me with this as well, I don't think that they have to have that be the primary source of income. Because most creative people, they don't make all of their money in one place, right? They're gonna make their money from like 4 or 5 different sources. They might all be related, but there's not one specific source of income for most creative people. And I think it's different than a hobbyist. A hobbyist is somebody who they can be amazing. They can have all the skill in the world, like what you're talking about. They can be like the greatest photographer that has ever walked the earth, and like the sun, like it shines on them better than all others. Yeah, right. They can be amazing, but the point of when they take pictures, they're not trying to make money. That's not what they're doing it for. That they're doing it as a hobby. They're doing it for self-fulfillment. I think that's great. But they're not a professional because the point of it, the end result is not to make money. They may make money, but that's not their intent when they're doing it.
Okay, so your definition is the umbrella of photography, and everything that it encompasses is the income, not necessarily just taking pictures. Everything involved with that.
Yeah, okay. and filmmaking as well. It's just the whole thing. For the sake of this video, if you agree, for the sake of this video, we're going to define the professional that way.
I think that's a good middle ground for all of us to actually move from.
Do you agree? Do you agree that's a good middle ground? I don't know why I'm looking at you like I can hear you. Maybe if you scream really loudly at your screen right now.
Oh, God. So, now that we've defined professional, what kind of camera would a professional use?
A professional is going to use the camera that is the right tool for their job. Like, since their intent is to make a source of income from that, then they're going to have to use the tool that is going to work best for that. And they're also going to want to spend as little money as possible to do that. So they're only going to get the camera or lenses or tripod or whatever kind of gear. But as far as the camera goes, they're going to get the one that gets the job done. It doesn't matter if it's a $4,000 camera or if it's a point and shoot and cost them $16 on eBay.
Okay, so then what about let's say a sports photographer versus a landscape photographer?
Well, they're going to have different needs.
how would they determine which needs that they would actually have to fulfill?
Well, experience for one thing. So if you're a professional in any profession, experience does play into it. So if you know that as a landscape photographer, they want, higher megapixels, and they want, super awesome bracketing features and all kinds of stuff like that. That's the kind of stuff that they're looking for. So they have very specific needs. They want weather sealing like crazy.
Which do the landscape
guys? Now, sports guys, they're going to want like burst modes. They're going to want it to be able to like super fast. And they're going to want to have really good autofocus tracking so that they can track their subject as it's going. So so there's two different. They're both photographers, but they have different needs. So they're going to get different cameras.
But when I look at the ads, I don't know too much about photography, at least the equipment. I want to go up. It looks like I do need all of these bells and whistles because I'm not totally sure which one I do or do not need yet.
Well, because the advertisers, they all want to sell you the expensive one. They all want to sell you like the new cool and spiffy camera, right? Like,
yeah.
So, but for instance, if the big feature on the new camera is that it can shoot 15 frames per second with the mechanical shutter, the sports guys are going, hey, that's great. And the landscape guys are going, I don't care. But if you don't have the experience yet to know, then you're going to think that that's important because they're really pushing that.
Okay, so how could I determine what I need if I don't have the experience yet? Because I would like to become a professional. Let's say wedding photographer.
Wedding photographers are kind of generalists. They do a lot of things.
Oh.
So they're going to have to be pretty good at like macro. They're going to have to be good at portraits. They're going to need to use burst rate stuff from time to time during the dancing parts, the reception and stuff like that. So they have kind of a broader base of needs for their camera. So you'd kind of want a general camera, one that does a lot of different things fairly well. A jack of all trades, yet a master of none.
How could I see through the marketing to determine what it is that I'm looking for? I've noticed Panasonic and Sony like to use different words for the same thing.
Experience, right? So you do have to start with a camera. They call them entry-level cameras a lot of times. And the reason why those are actually good is because those are the cameras that you use so you can determine what you actually need to be better in the camera.
So I don't need a GH5.
Now, you could definitely use a GH5 to shoot weddings.
Okay.
I've done it. But you don't need it to shoot weddings. I've also shot weddings with this guy, which is a Sony a6000, which you can buy right now at the time of this video for $500.
That's dramatically less than GH5.
It is. Lenses are. You can get some great lenses for this guy as well. Every single professional is different as well in what they're good at and what they focus on when they're working. So this might be a great tool for me to shoot a wedding. It might be an awful tool for another wedding photographer because they're focusing on different things and this camera would get in the way.
Okay, I see. Well, I need experience to determine how I take pictures as well as how I take pictures in a particular setting or placement.
Yes.
Okay. I wouldn't use a wedding camera for, let's say, wildlife.
Not necessarily. Again, a lot of times you can get the job done that way. But if you wanted to be primarily a wildlife photographer or videographer, then you're actually, in that case, you're going to be way more interested in lenses. In this case, the lenses actually in a lot of cases, the lenses are going to make the decision more for you than the camera body itself.
Well, I've heard something with the Element Alliance. Should I start there or should I start with understanding
the focal lengths and what you're going to need to know first.
Okay.
So for wildlife, you're going to need a lot of telephoto lenses. You can't get 5 feet away from a lot of these animals. It might be dangerous or they might run away. So, so you're going to want a lot of zoom range. There aren't a lot of 600 millimeter lenses out there, but there are some. So you might look in to see which one of those are available, which one's the cheapest, which one has whatever your criteria you're looking for. That's the camera system that you need to look into. You're also going to need a burst speed, kind of like a sports shooter. So you want to take that long lens and put it on a camera body that has a decent burst speed and good autofocus, and that's going to give you the tools that you need to do good wildlife photography.
So I should be first thinking about what type of lens I'm using, and then how my camera is going to interact with that lens in my post.
Yes.
Yes. But not based off of all the bells and whistles the camera actually does.
Correct.
Okay. How would I determine if my camera is in fact professional if I've understood all these things?
Well, more likely than not, if you have a camera that does perform the job that you needed to do, and like we talked about before, your intent is to go out and actually make money, and you can do that with that camera, then any camera that a professional is using is a professional camera. And a professional would also have learned what they need to learn in order to make intelligent buying decisions when they're upgrading from one camera body to the next camera body.
This concerns me because it reminds me of a really good saying, the best camera is the one you have.
Yeah.
Yes. But I'm not getting the quality that I want out of the camera. How do I know it's the camera and not me?
Marketing has a lot to do with what you're talking about, what you are considering quality. Are you considering sharpness quality? Are you considering color quality? Are you considering the composition quality? Quality is subjective. The advertisers and marketing companies want you to think sharpness is key, or bokeh. That's a good quality lens. Man, look at that bokeh. And to be honest, the bokeh is the background. So yeah, that background looks great, but how many people that are not photographers are really going, man, look at that sexy bokeh back there. Oh yeah, there is a subject. That person looks good too. But yeah, man, that bokeh. It doesn't happen, but that's a marketing thing.
I'm noticing now in the phones that are coming out, they're actually able to blow out the background. Mm-hmm. So maybe people will start looking at the background more because they're able to do so on their phone.
No, because the reason, I think it's really cool. I think it's kind of like these features in phones is kind of like a primer for a lot of new people who might get into photography and videography because of this. Why is it that they're blurring out the background? They're blurring it out so that your subject is clearer. They want to see, their selfie better, or they want their picture of their friend, or that thing that they're eating. They want to see that better. So they want to remove the distractions from the frame. When they're marketing these kinds of features in phones, they're saying quality is better because you can see the subject easier. So it's all marketing. The picture itself, the quality, the actual amount of pixels and colors and that sort of thing in the picture hasn't changed. It just looks slightly different. The quality hasn't actually improved.
It seems that we keep coming back to, does the person actually understand the picture or film that they're actually trying to create versus the equipment? The understanding is coming first, then the equipment to get to the image.
Yes. If you want to buy a professional camera, do not throw a lot of money at a camera thinking the camera will make your pictures or videos look better, because that's not how it works. You want to put in some time, you want to learn, and you want to gain experience with the equipment that you have, even if that equipment is just, a cell phone. You can do some great stuff with a cell phone. So you want to get that experience so you know what you need to buy when it's time to buy something. And you might make the wrong decision. You might fall for marketing, and that's okay, because that's more experience that you're getting. So, oh crap, I totally bought into the, 30 frames per second or, 47 megapixel marketing ploy. And that's fine. That's fine. It's gonna happen. It happens to everyone. It happened to me, and it can happen to you. But the more experience that you have, the less likely that is to happen, because at that point, you can start to pick out what it is they're trying to sell you, that it's different from what it is that you might actually need. Okay, so we've talked about a lot of stuff. Sonny might actually have a better idea of what he needs to buy so that he can start improving his work and becoming a professional, perhaps. Fingers crossed. But you might be wondering, what do you need to do? How are you going to pick your next camera? How are you going to pick a pro camera? If all you're shooting with right now is a cell phone, then start to pay attention to where it is you feel like your pictures are lacking, or your video. Do you feel like you need to have zoom? You want to separate that out, or you don't like the way that the portrait mode works on your camera and you want it to look better. or you feel like it just everything looks kind of flat. A lot of times it might be that you need to work on your composition, and you might need to work on your lighting, and you can do that with this phone for now. But if you've already done those things and you feel like you've got a decent handle, you're starting to use all the manual controls on your app, and and you feel like you're actually ready to get a big boy camera. I don't know why they call it that. It's a weird term, but
What if I identify as a girl?
exactly. Okay. The shortcomings that you're seeing are actually coming from what it is you're choosing to take pictures of. So if you're taking pictures of sports and your phone can't keep up because it's really hard to keep them in focus, you never get the moment right, then you already know you're going to want a camera that is going to do a better job with moving subjects, keeping them in focus, and has a burst speed so you can get just the right moment. If you're taking portraits and you feel like it's all weird because it warps the faces a little bit you just don't like the look of the phone, and you just wish it looked like, another photographer you see on Instagram. At that point, you're going to want to actually get a camera that you can just pick a better focal length for portraits, like an 85 or even a 50. Or some people actually like shooting portraits on 35, but those people are crazy. No, they're not. They're fine. So you're going to want to pick a camera that essentially is just going to give you a focal length. It doesn't really matter about how fast the autofocus and that sort of thing is. If what you're really looking for is the general look, if you're not pressed for time, you can take a camera that takes a little bit of time to focus if you've got that time to take to get the result that you want. Let's say you already bought a inexpensive entry-level camera and it's just not doing it for you, and you're not getting the pictures that you want, you're not getting the results that you want. You've already figured out you're not using anything in auto, you know how to use it in manual, you know how to use priority modes when it's appropriate, but the camera itself isn't keeping up. You should already know at that point why and what features are keeping you back. So at that point, when you are going to look to your pro camera, you're looking for the features that your current camera, are not providing for you. And again, this is going to come from experience. So if you really want to go out and buy a pro camera, that's what you just need to go out with whatever camera you have right now and take a ton of pictures and shoot a lot of video. We're talking all the time, every day. Learn everything that you can so that you know exactly what it is, so that you will be confident when you say, I'm going to buy. You won't have to ask somebody on YouTube or somebody at the camera store what the best camera is. You'll have to say, I need a camera that does these things. That's the point that you want to be in. You don't want to guess. You want to know.
How would I know that I'm at that point?
That's when the skies will open up. The rays of sunshine will fall on you. Then a deer will cross your path. There will be glitter. A tiny gnome will then come and bring you a scroll. You will read that scroll, and on that scroll it will tell you that you, sir, have gotten to that point.
So I won't know. I'll just notice I have a problem and my equipment right now just can't handle it.
Yeah. Always evaluate your own work. All right, we're going to stop it there. Otherwise, we'll probably just keep chatting for a little while. I hope that was helpful. I hope you have a better insight on what you need to do in order to know how to buy a pro camera, what a pro camera might be, and what a pro photographer or filmmaker might be. If you like this video, there's a thing where the thumb goes up. If you didn't like it, there's a thing where the thumb goes down, and you can do that if you want to, but then I'm going to send this guy after you because that's not threatening. Really? Okay. I do a video like this every Monday, so if you like this video, go ahead and subscribe. There's a notifying thing that'll notify you that it's Monday, in case you forgot. Then, stuff like, so we're gonna go, okay, yeah.